the economy is hands down the best thing that's going for President Trump right now. But let's take a look at his report card on the economy and what we're likely to see in 2018. The first thing that he loves to talk about is the stock market. The Dow just passed 25,000 for the first time ever. He likes to call it the Trump bump. He gets an A+ for the stock market. It was up over 25% last year, and if you go all the way back to the election, it's up over 30%. Now, you can nitpick how to compare that to President Obama. If you compare since Inauguration Day, President Obama is a little bit better, but if you go back to the election, President Trump did it even better than Obama did in his first year. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Trump loves to talk about it, and it was a key issue in the election. On that, I think I'd give him an A, very solid A. We saw great job growth last year, just over 2 million jobs. It was a tad smaller than what we saw in President Obama's final year in office. Trump had a great run with blue-collar jobs. We saw over 400,000 jobs added in manufacturing and construction. So a lot of folks who were struggling to get work are now back in the labor force. Those are the A+ and A marks. What about the rest of the report card? Growth. He likes to talk about how he's really hypercharged the economy. Well, one of the easiest ways to look at that is what economists call GDP growth, or gross domestic product. It's been growing about 2% for most of the Obama economy. Trump slammed that on the campaign trail, calling it anemic and weak. So how did his first year look? Let's give him maybe a B+ or A-. A lot of economists are saying, we're going to have probably a 2.7, 2.8% year. So a good year, but certainly not that 3 or 4 or even 5% growth that he promised. The stock market's booming, lots of jobs in this economy, but the big problem is wages just aren't going up. So not looking quite as good for Trump on that one. Wages have only been growing about 2.5% a year. It's not terrible, but it's way below what the United States used to see in good economic times when wages would grow 3.5 to 4% a year. Regular people, regular folks that Trump supposedly cares so much about in the heartland are still struggling because they depend on that weekly take-home pay, and that's not getting much better. Now, you may remember the White House has been talking a lot about how the tax bill is the big solution to this wage conundrum, but that's not an actual wage increase. When you look at big companies across America, the 500 largest publicly traded companies known as the S&P 500, only 5 of those 500 companies, all banks, have actually talked about increasing pay. It's not enough to really move the needle for the entire country. The final metric that we really have to watch for any president, including Trump, is inequality. We are seeing the worst inequality since the 1920s. And it's been a problem under Obama, it's been a problem under President Bush, and it continues under President Trump with inequality getting worse. And a lot of people are concerned that the tax bill is only going to exacerbate the differences between the top and the bottom, because a lot of those tax breaks are favoring the wealthy, and a lot of the gains are going to go to stockholders. Remember, half of America doesn't even have $1 in the stock market.